Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily Podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
Now,
you are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
it is the Rob Carson Show. Welcome to it. Please come inside, have a seat, and take your place, because I've been working real hard on this show. I was up late last night and got plenty of stuff to get to as the show progresses. Everything from drug boats. They're bombing the snot out of drug boats still. The Democrats last week tried to convince you they were fishing boats, and Pete Hegseth was a war criminal, and they've moved on. Now it's Donald Trump disparaging Rob Reiner, a guy who called him a Nazi and a fascist and a rapist for a decade.
As far as Trump is concerned, he said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country, yeah.
So that's the next thing. It's Donald Trump going after Rob Reiner because Rob Reiner... Well, we'll just go ahead and show you what Rob Reiner did the last decade or so with regard to Donald Trump.
We have a racist in the White House. We have a sexist in the White House, and he is tearing away at the fabric of our democracy.
The single most unqualified human being to ever assume the presidency of the United States. He's mentally unfit.
People always say, you know, he could redo All in the Family. I said, what do you mean? We're living it. We've got Archie in the White House. He always, when he quotes something that isn't him, and they're talking about Donald Trump, he goes, well, Donald Trump, every character is exactly the same. Well, Donald Trump, every time. And he always does that walk where he does like this, you know? Always.
The problem he has, as far as I can see, is that he's a pathological liar.
People have to understand our democracy is being taken away from us. Make no mistake, we have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy.
This is not a political party anymore. I don't know what this is. I believe there's a Christian nationalist movement that's very frightening.
Do we want to continue democracy, or...
There you go. So that is Rob Reiner in life. And listen, you know, I mean, I'm a Christian. Do I try to bite my tongue with regard to the passing of certain individuals? Sure, absolutely. You know, I'm not going to celebrate somebody dying. Donald Trump wasn't celebrating somebody dying like the Democrats did with Charlie Kirk being murdered. There were hundreds and maybe thousands of videos and thousands of individuals at universities, even some political leaders, celebrating his death, just absolutely dancing on his grave because he was murdered. And so as far as Donald Trump, I hate to tell you, I've never been savaged for a decade with 98% negative press coverage, constantly harangued, taken off of social media for free speech, pursued by the Justice Department, impeached twice for nothing, had my home raided by the FBI. Been the subject of 91 political charges, 5 political trials, an attempt to take him off the ballot, and 2 assassination attempts. So I guess I'm a little skewed. Donald Trump has every right to say that about Rob Reiner. And you know what? Just get the hell over it. Sorry, it sucks. You would probably feel the same way if somebody harangued you for a decade every stinking day. Literally went to Congress and testified with regard to Russia collusion. He was down with the Russia collusion hoax. So sorry. let the man say what he wants to say. Who cares? You consider how badly Donald Trump is treated every single day. He's a white supremacist. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. And then you've got the words of Democrats showing up on spent shell casings that killed Charlie Kirk. Honestly, there's a point where you got to say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Too bad, so sad. It sucks. I'm very sad. Sorry he met his maker in this fashion. It's dreadful. It is awful. Yes, 100%. Would I personally say that online? No, I wouldn't. I bite my tongue. When Joe Biden passes, I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to celebrate his passing. Certainly, when Dick Cheney passed, I didn't celebrate his passing, but I said I'm not going to give him too much credit because he turned on the American people. And he also was involved in starting wars that resulted in the deaths and injuries of tens of thousands of American soldiers, and it was unnecessary. I didn't say that when he died. Whatever. If this is your thing, then this is your thing. Honestly, get over yourself. It's going to be over in a couple of days. They will have completely forgotten it and move on to something else. They will move on to something else because it's always another thing with the Democrat Party. That's all there is. With regard to moving on to the story of Rob Reiner's death. His daughter turned in the brother Nick to police after parents were murdered in their mansion after he freaked out at an A-list holiday party. Have you ever had a family member who was unhinged like this? It is frightening. I had a brother who was like this. And I worried about him injuring us. And I literally didn't see him for 20 years until a couple of months before his passing. And my wife met him, and she goes, well, yeah, I could see why you guys were a little afraid of him. And he's no longer with us. He died 20 years ago. Here is Billy Bush talking about how they identified the brother as the killer.
LAFD were called to the home on Chadbourne Street at 3:30 on Sunday. They arrived to find two slain bodies. I got this from a friend who lives in the community. I heard that the son, Nick, went into his parents' house, stabbed both mom and dad, and that the daughter, I guess, lives on the property or at the house or in the back house, and that she found them, and that the mom was still alive, and apparently she called the ambulance and went in the ambulance with her mother. Michelle died in the ambulance, but had enough time to tell her daughter that it was Nick, their son, who stabbed them, and that's why they figured it out so quickly, and he's in custody.
Yeah, and the spiral of addiction. He had been in treatment 17 times, and supposedly was clean and sober a decade. I don't know. And honestly, it's really none of my business, to be quite honest. Here is Brian Claypool. He is a private investigator talking about the issues in the family.
Nick Reiner was in and out of rehab 17 times in 2018. Apparently, he completely trashed and thrashed the guest house there, allegedly under the influence of methamphetamine. So this looked like, tragically, a time bomb ready to tick. But look, to your point, Laura, yeah, so the police officers arrest somebody, but that doesn't mean you're prosecuted. The prosecutors have to make that decision by tomorrow at 5. They need, for example, the clothing has to be tested of Nick Reiner, right? What's on his cell phone? Did he make any admissions to anybody else? Is there any blood spatter on any of his clothing? What about his car? He drove somewhere after. They got to do a deep dive into the car to see if they can capture any blood spatter there or any DNA. So that takes time. Quite frankly, Laura, the police officers were in a no-win situation here. They saw him as an immediate threat to harm himself or others. They had to arrest him, and now the clock's ticking. But look, when you arrest somebody without a warrant, Laura, that means you're pretty competent. You've got the evidence to get the prosecutor.
Yeah, and then, of course, there was the news about the mom there. Michelle Obama was on with Kimmel last night. She said she was invited with her husband to Rob Reiner's and the wife's house for dinner, and, of course, used it as an attack on Donald Trump. I'm not going to play it because I don't give a rat's behind what a spoiled brat who has a chip on her shoulder and has done nothing at all in her life ever has to say about Donald Trump. Nick attended a holiday party with Rob Reiner and his wife on Saturday night, reportedly left A-list guests concerned about them getting into a very loud argument with his parents. He was acting crazy, kept asking if people were famous. It sounds like he was still on something. It sounds like he was on something. He first entered rehab on his 15th birthday, by the way. Here is he destroyed a guest house a while back. Here is a phone call from a couple years ago where he described that.
I went 10 rounds with my guest house. So much of a story. I got totally spun out on uppers. I think it was coke and something else, and I was up for days on end, and I started punching out different things in my guest house.
Yeah, there you go. You know, that's just the spiral of addiction. There's nothing you can do about it. The person who is addicted has to overcome the addiction, and it's very hard. And there's a time where you kind of give up on yourself. This guy obviously had a lot of other things going on. He was on a whole lot of different kinds of drugs. There are a million things out there that can really alter your reality, and even end up doing things like what happened here. James Wood is on last night, and he was on Fox, and he was a friend of Rob Reiner's, and Rob Reiner helped save his career. And that's great, and that's really great. And Rob Reiner, personally, probably was a pretty nice guy. But online, with regard to Donald Trump, he was a vicious, vitriolic, character assassin. That's what he lived for, even when it wasn't true, and he wouldn't redact anything that he said that wasn't true. Donald Trump is a rapist. Donald Trump collaborated with Russia. None of that. So you can understand Donald Trump's reaction to Rob Reiner's passing. We've got more on this, a little bit more on this. I want to get into this Brown University shooting and the Keystone cops in charge of the investigation there. A terrific speech yesterday by Tom Homan talking about what Donald Trump has done for the border. No illegals coming in. More drug boats exploded. More coming out of Minnesota, the massive fraud caused by Democrats up there, and other things. New comedy as well from the great Jim Gossett. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
Got any gadgets? Get online protection.
Drugs transported by boat, Venezuela. You best take note. Cartels, they're having fits 'cause they're men. They were blown to bits. The drug boat, it now resides on the ocean floor. The drug boat, Marco says we're gonna take out more. Yes, their lives are in danger if they take another chance. 'Cause drugs, we won't tolerate. Shut it down before it's too late. No drugs. A boat that was filled with drugs. I've got a crush on you, Mom Dolly. You're a communist, just like me. Private business, we oppose it. A takeover, we will propose it. Seize your house. Take your car. Zoran Mamdani is our new star. The world will pardon my mush, but I have got a crush, Mom Donnie, on you.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
Look, I've been hearing for 10 years that Trump's going to lose his base over this or that or the other. And for millions upon millions of Republicans who support what he's doing, who have lived through the last 10 years, they have learned to take Donald Trump for who he is, all in, all the time. And they are very appreciative of what he's doing for the country. They like what he's done on taxes. They like what he's doing on immigration. They like that he lives up to his campaign promises. But we're living through another moment here where a bunch of people are going to come out and make predictions about Trump and the base and this and that. And the reality is, it's not true. There are going to be a lot of people who don't like this statement. And then they're going to assess the state of American politics and assess the alternative and say, I knew what I was signing up for when I voted for him 3 times, and I'm going to ride it out.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the support for Joe Biden continued to be strong, even though he opened the southern border. He shut down the entire government for a virus that was created and paid for by us. He shut down the ability to speak on social media for conservatives altogether, created a department of disinformation, took millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party into LLCs, 27 LLCs, 9 family members getting the money. Let's see, what else did he do? Oh, had thousands of classified documents in his possession, destroyed the economy, caused inflation to go through the ceiling. Other than that, please, really? So Donald Trump now saying bad things about, or true things, I should say, about Rob Reiner is going to kill. You know, honestly, a couple weeks ago, Harry Hinton did a poll, and he was talking about 87% of Republicans, or even more than that, are behind Donald Trump, and it hasn't changed at all since Inauguration Day. Today, NBC say, oh yeah, half of the MAGA base is gone, and it looks like maybe MAGA is not in charge of the Republican Party anymore. If you think that the MAGA base is going anywhere, and if you think that the old school GOP is making a comeback, you're high. You're smoking some really good weed. I don't know where you live, but it must be the best weed ever. Because if you believe that, you're an idiot. Honestly, we're not going anywhere. We're in this fight. You think we went through the last 10 years to arrive here and go, oh my God, he said something bad about Rob Reiner, who called him a Nazi and a fascist and a rapist and a racist for a decade. Oh my God. Really? Really? Nice try. Dear God, you people, you have no freaking clue who you're dealing with here. You have no clue, because we went through it with him. We went through the censorship with him. We supported him through all of the attacks, all of the negativity, all of him and us being called MAGA fascists, enemies of democracy, white supremacists, all of this. We soldiered through it all, no matter what they did, no matter what they threw at us. And then they tried to shoot him, and he stood up, they shot him, raised his hand in the air and said, fight, fight, fight. Who the hell has ever done that? You think that we're going to leave this guy because he criticized Rob Reiner? You're out of your nut. My God. I'm just so bloody done with your idiocy at this point. You have no idea who you're up against. And we are not going anywhere. You haven't changed our mind. Nothing has changed our mind. No matter what you said, Elon Musk is a Nazi. Donald Trump is a king. Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump, Epstein. That was another lie. That was here for last week. Oh, Epstein. And then they put some blacked out photos of him with some girls that had already been public. They were pageant members. They said he was wonderful, and the photos had already been seen. They just put the black boxes on their faces to make it look like Donald Trump was with underage girls. And then they pivot into Donald Trump talking about Rob Reiner. Oh, God, are you kidding me? I usually don't like to get worked up like this. But I'm just kind of done with this crap, to be quite honest. Here's James Woods. James Woods, a great guy. He was blacklisted by Hollywood, completely destroyed by Hollywood in the last few years because he's conservative, because that's the way it is, right? And I want you to listen to what he had to say about 2025.
This has been such a horrible year. You know, Charlie was murdered. And when this happened, I just looked at her and she said, I would give anything for this to be New Year's Day 2026 because this has been the worst year I could ever experience.
Oh, I can relate totally.
I mean, the world is going insane. And by the way, you just glossed over this, but these drugs that people are on, at prescription as well as the illegal drugs, I watch football. I don't usually watch network television, but I was watching football. And they advertise one drug after another. You look at the fine print, and suicidal tendencies and homicidal tendencies, and the list of side effects. And I'm thinking, if everybody's on this stuff, just the sheer mathematical possibility of insane behavior, violent, insane behavior, has got to be taken.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I've been talking about that forever. Every night you watch, the nightly news. I always say that I never want to be as sick as the people who watch the nightly news because they are just bombarded with 1,000,001 different kind of diagnoses. Something you got to better ask your doctor about. Ask your doctor. One of the symptoms of this antidepressant is you might want to kill yourself. Oh, really? Well, I kind of got that problem now. That's why I want to go on the antidepressant. Oh, my God, it's so ridiculous. And here he is talking about the Brown University shooter, and I'm wondering why they're being so vague about this Brown University shooter. Why are they being so vague? Maybe they know something about this guy we don't.
But you're asking about the world in general? I mean, I grew up 7 miles from Brown University. I was offered a scholarship to Brown University. It's a beautiful, beautiful campus. It's gone very left-leaning in its teaching protocols and so on. So did it surprise me that one of the victims was a beautiful, lovely 19-year-old young woman who was the head of the Young Republican Club? I don't know if the motive of the killer was political, but I'm not surprised that the one who got murdered that we all hear about, of the others who were also shot, was, a young conservative.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Here's Jesse Waters talking about how this appears to be, this wasn't a mass shooting, this was a targeted shooting.
One of the victims was 19-year-old sophomore Ella Cook. She was the vice president of Brown's Republican Club, an Alabama native who was a devout Christian. Her pastor described her as a tremendous bright light, and she may have been the most prominent Republican on campus. Brown's considered the most liberal of all the Ivy League schools.
Wow.
So any members of the college Republicans would be very well known.
The family of Ella Cook, the Alabama young woman who was a sophomore, has been told that she was the target of what happened at Brown. I have no idea whether that's true.
And the other thing is, if the police are telling Brown students that they are safe, they don't have to shelter in place anymore, but they don't have a suspect in custody, I think that also suggests that this was some kind of targeted attack.
It kind of makes you wonder because, it's kind of out of the realm of possibility that a conservative will be targeted on campus. Oh, yeah, Charlie Kirk. Oh, yeah, every conservative for the last decade, driven off campus as college speakers, driven into seclusion in libraries, hiding for their own safety. Yeah. Other than that, nothing to see here. Let's take a break and come back. Hilary Fordwich, keynote speaker, Newsmax contributor, to talk about Islam in the UK, among other things. Don't go anywhere. My nightly ritual now is a little ice, a little vanilla yogurt, banana, a little milk, and a scoop of chocolate brownie Beams Dream Powder in the blender. A little while later, I hit the sack and I sleep until sunrise. It's amazing. These days, everything moves so fast, and it certainly can mess with your sleep schedule. That's why I'm here to tell you about Beam's Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. I've been using Beam's Dream Powder for a year now, and I can honestly say I feel sharper, calmer, and more focused, and I'm not alone. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax. Use code Newsmax and take advantage of my exclusive offer for 40% off. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, think about it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax today.
Rent-free in libs' heads I'm living. The fits I am giving to Whoopi, Sunny, and Joy. Rent-free, I'm occupying. Rosie is lying if she says I'm not in her head. They simply can't do it. When you get down to it, they have TDS real bad. Hatred, just watch it as it spreads, because inside their heads I live.
%, that's what Kimmel's lost since they put him back on the air. The morons at ABC were too blind to see that about Kimmel no one cares. 85% in a key demo. That is what Kimmel lost. Why do they keep him around? To keep losing ground. Still air him no matter what the cost. Sinclair must feel real stupid now. Next star still with regret. 71% wonder where they went. On Kimmel's failure you can bet.
Disney stock was $197 a share in March of 2021. Now it's $122 a share.
Disney must be in panic mode. They'd pull this show if they could. Why did they bring him back? This a funny hack. Suspension should have been for good.
County.
CNC, Christmas in Holly. I'm doubting it's one of Hilary Fordwich's favorite Christmas songs. I'm just saying. Joining us on the Newsmax hotline is public speaker, Newsmax contributor, a great contributor for GB News as well, Hilary Fordwich. Hello and welcome to the show, Hilary. How are you today?
Yes, thank you so much, Rob, for that lovely introduction. Yes, I do all those networks and Sky News Australia. So Australia, the UK, the US, where we speak, I would say English, American, and Aussie.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, Australia in the news with the Bondi Beach murders. You've seen the rise of radical Islam and anti-Semitism there. And, of course, another tone-deaf, woke administration, just like in Great Britain. And it looks like maybe some in Australia are so sick and damn tired of it. The same's going in Britain. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And I do have, actually boots on the ground, so to speak. I have cousins in Australia, and they've been saying for a long time exactly this. And don't forget, after October 7th, outside of the Sydney Opera House, there was the chanting and the all these crowds from the river to the sea, and I'm always wanting to go up to those people and ask them, which river, which sea? Tell me about the Balfour Declaration, and ask them about anything else about the history of that region, which they probably don't know.
Well, of course they know.
But, yes, there's a ghastly rise in anti-Semitism across, actually, I would say, the Western world. I think that Jewish people are an easy target. I think it shows the incredible evils of religion. You're free to worship as you like, whichever God you like, but to kill other people of a differing belief, a different, religious belief than you, I think is literally, it's ghastly, and there's nothing else to say about it except that it's, the evils of religion. I grew up in England when, in Ireland we had the Irish Catholics killing the Irish Protestants and the Irish Protestants killing the Irish Catholics. It can be very evil.
Yeah, but this is a worldwide caliphate that has kind of happened post 9/11, and we've allowed tolerance to disguise what is evil and what is the goal of radical Islam, and now it's beginning to expose itself. I'm hoping that it is exposing itself so we can see it and fight it.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, I hope so as well. But it looks like this may have been the line in the sand. Well, I guess you could. Bondi Beach is a beach after all. A line in the sand for patriotic Australians, kind of like what we've seen in France, kind of like what we've seen in Poland and other places, but maybe this is finally going to do something for Australia, as the Prime Minister there blames it on the right wing and on guns.
Well, yes, you're totally right. And also, don't forget, he's had plenty of opportunities. They've had opportunities to pass legislation. They've had opportunities to put an end to those protests. When they say globalize the intifada, they had many opportunities to put an end to this, Rob, and they simply haven't. And don't forget, what do politicians care about? Politicians care about voters. They care about staying in office. And of now, all of these countries, Australia definitely, has let in so many Muslims, and they care about the Muslim vote. That's what they care about. And so you are seeing a lot of Jewish people saying, well, they want to leave Australia, they want to leave the UK. Well, where are they going to go? I think right now, under Trump, it's a wonderful place to come to America. But we're seeing some of the same things here in different states, of course, like Minnesota, where we've seen issues there from the Somalis. That's different in terms of the...
No, it's just going to have to be a wholesale deportation of radical Islamists from all of these countries. That's what's going to have to happen. They don't want to assimilate. They hate the Jews. I'm seeing things like in Paris, they're getting rid of the New Year celebration on the Champs-Élysées. They are not going, and that's when the radicals have won, Hillary. There were 1 million people out last year, and they're going to cancel it because radical Islam is a threat. Are you kidding me?
Well, you're absolutely right there, Rob. And don't forget, now there are countries in Europe, like in Germany, where they had Christmas markets for basically actually centuries.
Yes.
And they're canceling them now because of security concerns. How sad is that people in their own country... And again, obviously different religions have killed other people for different religions for centuries. This is nothing new. But this is, in my knowledge of religions, I think the Quran is the only actual religion that does have passages in the Quran that say, stone the infidel, kill the infidel, and there are actually instructions to do so. And that I don't really even blame Muslims, because young Muslim boys, every single thing that they're raised with from the time that they're a little tiny toddler, everyone they trust, everyone they love, basically tells them that they will become a martyr and this is the right thing to do. And it would be like trying to tell a Christian, you know, Jesus is nothing. Jesus was really, which he was. He was a regular man in the 4th century. The Nicene Creed there was a vote for him to become divine.
Okay.
But you try to tell a Christian about that and Christmas and the reality of Christmas, which was it was a pagan tradition, and they only reason
okay,
they
let's not go there because we're going to get into an argument about this, Hillary. Especially during the Christmas season.
When you start telling people actual history, people who are religious don't want to hear history or facts. And so I think
they're your facts. They're your facts, Hillary. I mean, I think we've had this discussion before off air, and I would rather not going down this road because I want to stick with radical Islam and the fact that radical Islam, if you follow the tenets of Islam, it is about subjugating all other faiths. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And if you haven't noticed that, it's happening all over the world. Now, I noticed it was quiet for the first 9 months of Donald Trump's presidency. And now, as Hanukkah has approached, we see an explosion of this, I should say, one mass shooting, obviously, but also massive rallies, massive protests by Islamists. And you know, if we curl up in a ball and we don't have our celebrations, it's only going to get worse, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and actually we're linking these up. We don't know yet what the motive was for the Brown University shooting on the first day of Hanukkah. We don't know, on the eve of the first day of Hanukkah, we don't know what that motive was. We don't know if they're related. But you're right, I think that surrendering is surrendering one's own traditions. And what I was trying to say about religious religion is that everybody should be able to have their own belief. It doesn't mean to say it's history, but you shouldn't kill people because they want to imagine something else.
Of course, 100%.
That's the evil, and that's the only religion I do know of that literally in the Quran actually does have instructions. And these poor little boys and people that are raised in this, they know no better. This is what they're raised with. They think this is actually true.
Because they are more in love with death than they are life. They are taught that. They are taught that. So they will be useful warriors that will be discarded after death. But they will, in their departure, take a lot of the infidels with them. I want to talk to you on the other side of the break, Hillary, about what the hell has happened to Great Britain. You know, the stiff upper lip, the don't get wobbly, the land of Margaret Thatcher and Winston Churchill, and what the hell has happened to it, and if it's salvageable or if it will fall. If we can cover that on the other side of the break, it would be greatly appreciated. We are talking to Hilary Fordwich on the Rob Carson Show. Back in a few.
Little Christmas music.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
It's for Hillary.
Yes, of course. It doesn't believe in God. It is the Rob Carson Show. Hilary Fordwich, friend of the show, GB News, Sky News, Newsmax contributor, public speaker, joining us on the Newsmax hotline. You're a British expat. You're a strong individual. I know you. It has to be terribly frustrating to see what is happening to Great Britain with regard to the rise of Islam. Is it as heartbreaking as I could imagine it would be being my homeland?
Yes, absolutely. And before the break, you were very clever there when you quoted, you said, "Don't go wobbly." That was actually Margaret Thatcher, as you know, and for our audience, when she actually had a wonderful relationship with President Reagan, and a lot of credit to her and to their relationship for being great for the United States, because when the air traffic controllers were threatening to go on strike, she placed a phone call to Ronald Reagan, then Ronald Reagan, saying, "Don't go wobbly, Ronnie." And now to your question, I think she would be rolling in her grave. And in that era, and of course she didn't come to power till 1980, but before her, there were politicians who were considered so right-wing and so racist, but they really predicted what has happened. And there was a politician called Enoch Powell, and he talked about, the rivers of blood, and he talked about what would happen if we let in so many people that didn't have British values, weren't Church of England. And sadly, I mean, I don't consider myself in the slightest bit right-wing, very moderate, just want to work and pay my taxes and live and let live, and I really don't care what religion anybody wants to imagine. Just don't kill other people. And to your point, now it's a demographic issue. One of the things Winston Churchill said, he said, democracy isn't a good form of government, it's just better than everything else tried. What happens with democracy is, obviously, the mass vote wins. And so what you're seeing now is it's not actually Sharia law in different cities in England, but there are Sharia courts. One day, and there was one mayor that was elected, I think it was Birmingham, I should check my facts on that, but one of the recent mayors was elected, and he actually shouted as his rally when he was elected, Allahu Akbar. And you're seeing these Sharia courts, and so there is the prediction that within a couple of generations, of course, Islam will be the dominant global religion in 2060. Does that mean people in England, everybody's going to be wearing burqas? And again, I don't mind. People can have different religions. There are different sects of Christianity, different religions. But to our earlier point, it is one of the religions that doesn't tolerate anybody else's belief. That is the issue about Islam. I don't mind if someone actually is a Muslim. That's totally fine. Have your own imagination. Imagine your own God. But when you're killing other people because they don't imagine your same God, it's your fairy tale. You should not be imposing it on other people.
Well, I think that there's also what I believe I was hearing Elon Musk talking about, suicidal empathy. We have a suicidal empathy. You've got people who are LGBTQIA whatever, and they think that Islam is great, and they support the long-suffering people of Palestine, and they can relate to Hamas even though they'd be thrown off buildings. It's a suicidal empathy. I don't know what I always called it self-loathing Jews, self-loathing liberals, even though it's the same people who fall in love with death row inmates, knowing they could kill them.
Well, I think a lot of it, though, Rob, is the lack of knowledge of history. One of the things I always say, here's a data point for you. When you get on any aeroplane, and I've flown, all the airlines, like I'm sure our listeners have, look at the movies, all the selection. It's all absolute rubbish. It's all fantasy. It's all fiction. Look at what's on television. It's rubbish. It's fiction. See how many people on a plane are actually opening a book? Almost no one. I mean, I'll lay a $1,000 bet you can get on a plane. So people are consuming fiction and rubbish. So they don't know their history. They're not watching documentaries about what's actually happened. So I think people have this surface less than a centimeter deep or a quarter of an inch, and they really don't know what's happened. Again, they don't know which river and which sea. They don't know about the Balfour Declaration. They don't know about really what's happened in the Middle East. And I think that lack of knowledge and lack of awareness, and also our public schools have removed the sort of education that we used to have about what's happened historically.
Well, that's how you make useful idiots. That's how you make useful idiots. I want to ask you, do you think it's too late for Great Britain? Do you suppose that there are enough there who would fight back like Winston Churchill did, back on his heels as London is being bombed to powder? Do you suppose that that attitude is still there among traditional Brits?
I think it's we're literally, I would call it a tipping point.
I know.
I would say, like Donald Trump in the U.S., it's very different because we still have a great majority of non-Muslims in America. But in the U.K., should Nigel Farage be elected, and I do feel that just like Donald Trump, I do think that there's going to be people that want to take him out, let alone obviously thwart his candidacy. But I think it's a tipping point for the U.K.
I'm hoping that Nigel Farage is the candidate. I had the opportunity to meet him when I met you, and he reminded me of Churchill. And I'm just talking about with his aplomb. He was standing there, and he goes. Some people will say I'm a drinker. Some people will say I'm a womanizer. Some people will say I'm a whatever. And he goes. And I have to say, yes, of course I am. And I went, hell yes. It was refreshing. It was refreshing to see him just not back down to criticism. And I'm hoping and praying, and it sounds like he's polling well over there.
Well, he is, and Reform actually has one more seats than Labour recently, and that's a government that's in power. Labour is analogous for our listeners to the Democratic Party and Conservatives to Republicans. But a couple of things here that are sort of scary. Right now, there's just been this sort of like smear campaign where they managed to dig up somebody literally from I think he was 15, and he made some kind of racial comment in what would be an American high school, in secondary school in England. And so they managed to dig these things up, so you can tell that there is definitely a smear campaign. And my prediction is they'll find everybody has some kind of dirt on them, and definitely politicians, and definitely Nigel Farage. They'll come up with some kind of dirt, and what that will do, sadly, it will put off your sort of true blue Englishmen and the in England conservative sort of Republican high moral value vote. And if you lose them, then he may not be able to be elected. Also, don't forget the Labour government is in power. Mainly, the massive mandate they received was this protest vote against the failed Conservative government that really became very liberal. So really what you're seeing in the UK is people that are dissatisfied with basically every recent government, and I think the smear campaign that's going to be waged against him is going to make him difficult to be elected. I hope that he is, but I think it's going to be highly difficult.
Yeah, as long as they don't weaponize the Department of Justice against him and try to kill him like they did here in the United States. Hilary Fordwich, as always, great to have you on. I did post your website, hilaryfordwich.strelmark.com, on all of my social media. But thank you for joining me today. Have a glorious rest of your day. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show. All righty. Who's watching? Scarecrow. Timothy 39. What's going on, brother? Let's see. He's talking about the brave man is lucky that the police didn't shoot him. Talking about the guy in Australia. It was pretty amazing. He grabbed that gun from that guy and then was shot. He was shot 5 times in his arm. Did you know that? It's crazy. It's crazy. Who's watching over here on the Dale Schwab, Dale Arsenault? As always, good to see you on Facebook. 10 inches of snow in Lafayette. Where's that? Is that in Louisiana, is it? Sandra D says Islam is a dangerous religion. Yeah, 100%. Sandra D is back and glad to be on live again. Well, I'm glad you're here too. I certainly am. Over on the YouTube, it's America Marcy. Mark, hey, what the hell? I love Rob. Keep telling the truth. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. I don't lie. I don't lie. Does you no good to lie? Make stuff up. Bear meat makes great jerky. Really? I'll take your word for that. Blah 13, whatever. Bear meat's fatty is what I heard. It's just not very good. Somebody says venison and pork chili today. You have to add fat to add pork to add fat, right? Right? If you're going to make venison summer sausage, you've got to add fat. You got to add beef tallow. You got to add something else. I know this because I cook. From the hills of Beverly to the stills of Kentucky, great show, Rob. Thank you. I appreciate you. I lived in Kentucky, by the way. I did. I lived in Kentucky for 5 years. I loved it. But I love it here, too. I do love it here. I love it. It's beautiful. I've never lived in a beautiful place before. It's pretty cool, though. All right, here we go. Let's talk about
320 here.
I think we need some satire, don't you? What do you say? It's the Christmas season, and Friday I'm going to be taking off until January the 2nd, so we got to get it all in here, people. This is brand new from Jim Gossett as the President of the United States on the Rob Carson Show. Yeah.
Winning and winning and never losing. Results that drive Nancy Pelosi to boozing.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Christie choking on buffalo wings. These are my favorite conservative things.
Hey.
Gas prices falling, inflation dropping. To our momentum, there is no stopping. An end to 8 wars. What joy that brings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Big beautiful bill.
Reducing spending, securing the border, restoring faith in law and order, arresting a punk at a no kings. These are my favorite conservative things.
This is nice.
When Chuck's humor makes me nauseous, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember we're bombing drug folks, and that I don't feel so bad.
If you want to help out Jim Gossett, go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. So I got this critical virus threat detected. Your iDefend trial has expired. Your PC is now vulnerable. Oh my God, you better give it your payment information. All then I realized, it's crap. It's phishing. Here we go again. Phishing, it happens. That's why I have WebRoot Total Protection on this computer in this studio. Because they are always looking for something. They're always looking to trip you, to give you a credit card, to give you, the information about your credit card, to give you your social security, whatever, and then they will take your identity and they will rob you blind. WebRoot Total Protection is available. Real-time antivirus protection against emerging threats like malware, ransomware, phishing scams, firewall and network detector. Family protection includes toddlers, students, seniors, 65 plus, up to $1 million in expense reimbursement for stolen funds or out-of-pocket costs due to identity theft. 60% off now. WebRoot.com/Carson. WebRoot.com/Carson. It is the Web Threat Shield detects and blocks malicious websites before you visit them. And it's easy to do because everybody's selling something. There's some shiny bauble over here. You want to get something for your kid here. You want to get something for here. And then you realize, oh, it's crap. And then they start phishing and sending you emails and texts and all of that. You're always under assault. WebRoot Total Protection will take care of that. WebRoot.com/Carson. WebRoot.com/Carson. Democrat mayors are lying about crime to keep the National Guard out of their cities. And the D.C. police chief lowered the crime numbers intentionally, lied about them, and it didn't work. It's coming up. Don't go anywhere.
This
about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, hour number 2 of the radio program. We've got Sarah Bedford, Washington Examiner at the bottom of the hour. She's written some really great pieces, including Why Democrats May Be Structurally Screwed. We'll talk about that and what protests in the street have in common with deep-pocketed radical movements. A really deep piece on this. So looking forward to talking to her. They do a very good job at that paper or that online. I haven't read a newspaper in forever. Well, have you read a newspaper lately? Do you get a newspaper? I mean, I see every once in a while, I see, the Washington Post being delivered to the apartment complex, but I haven't read a paper. I used to take the newspaper, and I had a razor blade, and it used to freak people out when I did my show prep because I had to put the razor blade between my lips, and then I just take it, cut the piece out, lay it to the side, and photocopy it. And I never cut myself. I just had the razor blade in my mouth. I was like, oh, there you go, I got to cut it. And so anyway, but I don't do it that way anymore. But I do tell you, I do like to have hard copy in front of me. So I do print stuff off. I don't like keeping windows open on the laptop. Call me old school, whatever. I do like to have the hard copy and the highlights. That's how I roll. You know, you got to combine a little bit of analog, a little digital. You know, that's like the show. We're analog, we're digital. We are analog on radio stations across the country, and we are digital, streaming live on all Newsmax social media. You see? You see how that works? It's kind of cool, right? It's pretty darn cool. So I moved to Washington, D.C. about 5 months ago. 2 weeks after I moved here, Donald Trump brought in the National Guard. And because the Democrat Party is so anti-Trump and anti-common sense, they said, oh, he's going to take over the city, he's going to weaponize the city, he's going to kill black people. Or something. I don't know what the hell he's going to, it's going to be terrible, he's a tyrant and all that. And what he ended up doing is reducing crime dramatically, like 80%, carjackings down, it's safe to go out. People in minority neighborhoods that are otherwise, have been hellholes since Lyndon Johnson, they're able to go outside, sit on the stoop, and watch their kids ride their bikes without getting murdered. It's pretty crazy how that happened, right? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I remember the first day, it was about 2 weeks after they started. The CNN and MSNBC and the local news stations, they were like, Donald Trump is weaponizing the military against American cities, and DC doesn't need this because DC's crime rate's coming down. And the problem was that there were people on staff at these news stations in Washington, D.C., CNN, ABC, all of this, who said, oh, no, hell, I had my car stolen last month. Or, oh, my God, I can't tell you how many times my friend was carjacked or how many times I was assaulted by a homeless person. And it was so transparently bogus that DC's crime statistics were coming down. And I just saw this weekend because they're saying, oh, yeah, Chicago crime stats are coming down. No, they're not. No, they're not. The Democrat Party doesn't care about crime in their cities because it makes people needy and desperate. That's what it does. 9 people, one shot fatally Friday into Sunday in Chicago. 14-year-old, 17-year-old among individuals injured in shootings Friday into Sunday. On October 6, 2025, there had been 1,500 shooting victims, fatal and non-fatal victims, combined in Chicago up to that point in 2025, showing the shooting victims consisted of 276 who succumbed to their wounds and 1,224 who were wounded and survived. And thus far, 385 people have been killed in Chicago in 2025. And you got to kind of wonder if they're lying about the stats. Because that's what they did in Washington, D.C. They just got rid of this awful, woke, Karen police chief, and she was lying about the stats.
Bill, good morning to you. Those House Oversight Committee Republicans say the bottom line of what their investigation found is that the outgoing D.C. police chief was essentially cooking the books on crime data and trying to make the city seem a whole lot safer than it really was. Now, those House Republicans say what their investigation consisted of was interviewing all 7 commanders of D.C. Metro Police's patrol districts, including a former commander who's currently suspended for allegedly tampering with crime stats in his own district. Wow. And these are some of the conclusions they've made in their report. They allege that D.C. Metro Police Chief Pamela Smith pressured commanders to report lower crime stats by any means necessary. The commanders testified that Chief Smith even pushed them to pursue lesser charges that aren't publicly reported.
Wow.
Even for serious crimes, and she required certain crimes to be reviewed by her office. Now, the report also says police commanders testified that Chief Smith punished them and retaliated against them if they tried to report accurate rising crime data, even berating them in meetings and individually to pressure them into reporting those lower crime figures. Now, in a statement on the report, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says in part, quote, Chief Pamela Smith coerced staff to report artificially low crime data and cultivated a culture of fear to achieve her agenda.
Wow, that's freaking filthy, rotten, corrupt there. I mean, it's as bad as it gets. That you let crime rise, and then you tell your officers, lie about it. What the hell? What the hell? Now the mayor's stepping down. She's stepping down. The mayor had to admit it's working. You wouldn't believe Washington, D.C. Come visit. Look me up. We'll hang out. You can go downtown. There's buskers on street corners. There's no homeless people attacking you. There's no heroin addicts on the floor. There are no homeless encampments across from Union Station. Union Station is so clean you can eat off the floor. It is remarkable, the Union Station, the giant 20-foot wreaths in front of the doors down there, and you could walk around and you're not going to be accosted. You're not going to be murdered. You're not going to see a homeless person with a needle in his arm laying on the ground. You're not going to smell the weed coming from the homeless encampment. They've all been cleared out. And there's no denying it. There's no denying it. Here is Carl Higbee talking to Jim Comer about the D.C. crime statistics live.
No, look, everyone knew that crime was escalating in the city, despite the fact that the Democrats in Congress and the Democrats in Washington, D.C. tried to convince the American people otherwise. They tried to say crime was down when we knew that didn't sound right. But thankfully, in this investigation, when we launched it, we had whistleblowers come.
When you lived in Washington, D.C., I swear to God, if you lived in Washington, D.C. the last decade, you know someone who's been carjacked. You know someone who's been robbed. You know someone who's been assaulted. That's just the way it is. That's why it was undeniable.
Forward, these were active duty Metro police officers in Washington, D.C. who said they were told to be dishonest about the crime statistics to make it look like crime was going down in a city that was infested with crime.
You know this is happening in Chicago. This is why all of the caterwauling, all of the screeching about Donald Trump sending the National Guard in to fix it. When he went into Memphis, crime has dropped dramatically in Memphis. Crime is dropping dramatically around the country because Kash Patel sent FBI agents around the country. We're looking at the lowest murder rate in recorded American history coming up in this year. It is remarkable what has happened. But the Democrat Party, they love their narco terrorists. They love their their murderers. They love their criminal illegal aliens. They don't want to kick them out. They release them by the hundreds in places like Illinois. 1,700 illegals in Illinois with criminal records released. 700 in New York City. They don't care. It's like emptying out the prisons before Saddam Hussein fell. That's the way they do that. That's the way despots do things. And then they just watch the chaos. They don't care about the pain and the suffering. Here is Jim Comer talking about, what you got to do in D.C. to even go to jail.
Well, in Washington, D.C., unless you commit murder, nobody's going to jail. That's been the problem in Washington, D.C. They have a liberal Metro Council that has passed excessive criminal justice reforms to the point to where unless you commit a murder, you're not going to have to be held accountable.
And even then.
And what you see is criminals, they commit crimes in the morning in Washington, D.C., and then they're out back on the streets, and by the evening, they commit the same crime again. This happens over and over and over, and our brave men and women in the Metro Police Department, they finally came forward and said enough is enough. Not only are our criminal justice laws in Washington, D.C. a joke that inspire criminals to come to Washington, D.C., but we also have crime statistics that are not factual. We've been told to lie about the crime statistics to show that
I'll tell you what, the Democrat Party, you're just freaking evil. You can't be a member of the Democrat Party in good standing and feel good about yourself. I'm being very honest here. Just that right there. Just that right there. Lying about the crime statistics, telling your police officers to lie about your crime statistics so it'll look better for you. Honestly, what the hell is wrong with you people? Here is Tom Homan. Here's another thing. Tom Homan, the Democrats said the border couldn't be fixed, could not be fixed without massive legislation and spending, presumably to go to NGOs to bring more illegals across the southern border like they did. 20 million of them when Joe Biden was the president, despite no vetting for disease or criminality. And look what Tom Homan did. He decided to take a little ride, a little fly over the southern border.
You know, it's always an honor for me to be in the Oval Office with the greatest president of my lifetime.
Yeah, I know he kicks butt.
Yes, I said it.
Yeah,
and I meant it.
Woo, he's awesome.
You know, I just got home last night. I toured the border in California, Arizona, and Texas. I did it in a four-wheel drive. I did it on the river.
Wow.
I did it from the air.
That'd be fun.
Hundreds upon hundreds of miles of border. I didn't see one illegal alien.
Wait a minute, you didn't see like 14,000 Haitians under a bridge?
Not a single one.
Really?
I've done this since 1984.
You didn't like chains of people coming across the Rio Grande?
I worked for 6 different presidents. None has done more than President Trump. What he has done is gave us the most secure border in the history of this nation.
And that's what we voted for.
Hard stop.
Yeah.
I went to hundreds of miles of border and didn't see one illegal alien.
Nope.
Incredible, considering the Biden administration would have 10, 12,000 a day.
Could you imagine what it would have been like to have Kamala Harris as the president? Oh, it would have been the end of the Republic. It would have been the end of the Republic.
Most released in the United States. I'm proud to be with these patriots behind me. I'm already proud to be in the Oval Office of the President, but being...
And for those of you Democrats who, I can't believe, you guys are xenophobic and all of that, here's what stopped when Donald Trump sealed the border.
6% decline. 96% less people are coming. How many women aren't being raped? How many children aren't dying making that journey? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked into this country every day? How many known suspected terrorists aren't just walking across that border? President Trump and this administration is saving thousands of lives every month.
That's true.
Hard stop. That's just a stone cold fact. I'm just proud to be a part of this.
And the Democrats hate him because he's him, no matter what happens, no matter who suffers or who dies. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
We're sinking vessels, one's loaded with drugs. Mow the boat down. With U.S. airstrikes to target the thugs. We think it's time to mow the boats down. Narco-terrorism we won't tolerate. Mow those boats down. Stop your drug traffic before it's too late. Otherwise, we'll mow your boat down. Shape up Venezuela, or we might attack. Maduro, we will take down. Drug boats you're sending will never come back. We'll sink them all and watch the men drown. We know who you are, we'll mow your boat down. Won't get very far, we'll mow the boat down.
Winning and winning and never losing. Results that drive Nancy Pelosi to boozing. Chris Christie choking on buffalo wings. These are my favorite conservative things. Gas prices falling, inflation dropping. To our momentum, there is no stopping. An end to 8 wars, what joy that brings. These are a few of my favorite things. Reducing spending, securing the border, restoring faith in law and order, arresting a punk at a no kings. These are my favorite conservative things. When Chuck Schumer makes me nauseous when I'm feeling sad. I simply remember we're bombing drug boats and that I don't feel so bad. Adam Schiff's scared, and he ought to be inside of a cell. He's gonna see Pencil Neck is going to jail. Lied on his mortgage not one time but twice. Get a good lawyer, that's my advice. Pencil Neck is going to jail. Leak classified information to the New York Times. Schiff will be prosecuted for his so many crimes. His Senate seat will be taken away. Adam Schiff, he's gonna pay. Pencil Neck is headed to jail. Watch Adam sweat. A lengthy sentence he'll get. Pencil Neck, he's headed to jail.
Have a rejoin here.
Diggy.
Fasten your seatbelt, Deep State. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. It's the Rob Carson Show.
You know, Hilary and Bill are, well, I'm hoping that hell comes for them. New piece in the Washington Post. Inside the Clintons' fight to avoid testifying in the House Epstein inquiry. I wonder why they wouldn't want to do that. Oh, that he helped actually set up the Clinton Foundation, the global initiative that did nothing but take hundreds of millions of dollars from Russian oligarchs and whatnot. Here's John Solomon talking about that.
What you end up seeing in this story this morning is that even during the first Trump administration, there were people in the Justice Department and the FBI who were protecting Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton from the sort of justice they should face. For
the FBI was filthy, rotten, corrupt. After the raid on Mar-a-Lago, I said they ought to just disband the whole damned organization and start over again. I'm still not convinced that's still not a good idea, certainly with the CIA.
Pay-to-play scheme involving their foundation and Hillary Clinton's decisions as Secretary of State.
Yeah, she did the Uranium One deal, and then she got $150 million from Russian oligarchs into the global initiative.
Extraordinary memos, extraordinary details. Yeah. We learned for the first time in these documents that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi gave to Chuck Grassley, and Chuck Grassley gave to Just the News, that the FBI first intercepted information suggesting a pay-to-play scheme with Hillary Clinton back in 2010. They were sitting, or they had a recording, a consensual recording made of a conversation by a famous Democrat, Indian-American Democrat donor fundraiser named Chatwell. He would eventually be convicted of some fundraising crimes. But the concern in that call was not excessive limits or contributions exceeding the limits. It was the idea that foreigners were lining up and they were going to give money to the Clinton Foundation so that Hillary Clinton could make favorable decisions.
Like the Uranium One deal.
For them and their countries and their foreign companies. That didn't go anywhere during the Obama years. In 2016, 3 separate FBI offices, as you and I have talked about, because these were earlier documents we got, opened up, and then on the Clinton Foundation, Little Rock, Washington, D.C., and New York all believed they had clear evidence of a pay-to-play corruption scheme involving the Clintons. As we mentioned the last time we talked about this, Sally Yates gave a command from the deputy attorney saying, shut it down. But inside the FBI, 16, 17, 18, it kept getting shut down. Andy McCabe kept shutting it down. Kept putting pressure there.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what's happened, and nobody's above the law. Well, yeah, you are if you're an Obama or you're a Biden. Biden got, $25 million from the Chinese Communist Party. He got money. His son worked for an oil company. that was corrupt in the Ukraine, and I can go on and on. Got $160 million to the Biden Penn Biden Center from the Chinese Communist Party. It is remarkable, and you'd kind of wish that these SOBs would pay, but they're the ruling class, right? Isn't that the kind of way it is? It really is so thoroughly bloody disgusting. I can't stand it. Cannot stand it. I would love to see them rot in prison. I would. I really would. Did you watch any of this presser yesterday with the Brown University shootings? We had two young victims. Muhammad Aziz Mirzakov of Virginia. He was going to be a brain surgeon. A beautiful young woman, Ella Cook. She was the head of the GOP, the young Republicans on campus. And here's some of the Charlie Foxtrot that was yesterday's press conference.
President, with all due respect, 6 hours after the shooting, and you said you don't know what
This is the president of Brown University, another liberal Karen.
was going on in that classroom. How does that happen? Were they taking an exam? Were they meeting for a club?
I don't know. I don't know.
6 hours later, you're the president and you don't know.
I do not know.
That's kind of concerning.
President Donald Trump has said that Brown University is to blame for this shooting, saying it's the school's problem. Is that a fair criticism, or do you disagree with what the president
I don't think it's fair criticism.
Colonel, can you expand on that?
Why not? Because Brown University is not collaborating with you guys. You're lying to the press over here. They have facial recognition. We know that because they follow the student, they follow everybody in the neighborhood. Facial recognition.
Yeah, and the guy apparently said something before he fired the bullets, and nobody knows what it is. And nobody can figure out who this guy is. And there were no cameras near the doors in the at the university. There was no face recognition technology, none of that stuff. It sounds like they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Here's Eric Pratt talking about one of the biggest mistakes you can possibly make. Saying that your institution is a gun-free zone. It'd be like saying you're a liquor store and you're a gun-free zone. Just tell the thieves to come in and steal everything.
And this is despite what you hear from the left. Guns were not the problem in Rhode Island, certainly not Australia either. In fact, in both cases, you could say a lack of guns was the real failure because law-abiding people were
this means I can go in and murder everybody. Woo!
prevented from being armed.
Yep.
I personally know two people who have stopped mass shootings, and in each case, they've used their guns to stop the bad guys before the...
Probably could have stopped the guy in Bondi Beach as the police down there waited 20 minutes, and then ultimately a guy without a gun took him down.
Police arrived, and that's how you stop a mass killer. But gun control in Rhode Island, as you pointed out, it made it more likely there would be no one armed who could fight back. And, you mentioned that Brown University bans possession of firearms, so it's a gun-free zone. But the state also has universal background checks. It's got red flag gun confiscation laws. It has a 7-day waiting period for purchasing firearms.
Yeah.
None of it worked. And it just shows that disarming law-abiding people doesn't stop mass killers. It empowers
If you want to watch where we are right now, watch the movie Demolition Man with Sly Stallone and Wesley Snipes. It is exactly what Brown University is. The possession, use, or storage of weapons or firearms strictly prohibited by all university property and at university-sponsored events except as authorized under this policy, blah, blah, blah. You can, if you're a licensed concealed carrier, bring a gun on campus, and it basically broadcasts the entire world. You can commit any act of violence you want. You'll be able to get away with it because we are unarmed. It's honestly just insane. And look, it caused the death of two young people, 19 and 18 years old, missing their entire lives. Unbelievable, but not really. On the way, Sarah Bedford, Washington Examiner. Don't go anywhere. My nightly ritual now is a little ice, a little vanilla yogurt, banana, a little milk, and a scoop of chocolate brownie Beams Dream Powder in the blender. A little while later, I hit the sack and I sleep until sunrise. It's amazing. These days, everything moves so fast, and it certainly can mess with your sleep schedule. That's why I'm here to tell you about Beams Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. I've been using Beam's Dream Powder for a year now, and I can honestly say I feel sharper, calmer, and more focused, and I'm not alone. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax. Use code Newsmax and take advantage of my exclusive offer for 40% off. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, think about it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax today.
Shake, shake, shake your menorah, put it up with pride. Tell Hamas, you can't run and hide. Show all the haters like AOC. You and the squad love the enemy. My menorah has candles, more candles than I can handle. It's displayed on my table to show Hamas we're ready and able. You're out of line, Hamas. You're out of time, Hamas. Israel's win, your loss. You're gonna pay a big cost. You're out of line, don't believe you. Hey, Sleepy Joe, don't believe you. Shake, shake, shake your menorah for the world to see. Israel you're supporting, unlike NBC. Light all the candles, let them shine brightly. Because soon Hamas will be history.
I trust Pete. My faith in Pete's complete. He's taken out drug boats beautifully. I trust Pete. The critics are never-ending drug traffickers. They're defending. I repeat. Blowing up their boats is neat. We got the right man for the job because I trust Pete. Pete Hegseth is a real hero. Proof he did wrong. They have got zero. Good job, Pete. You have pulled off quite a feat. Cutting down the flow of fentanyl, you can trust me.
Law enforcement isn't to prevent crime. Law enforcement solves crime, not necessarily prevent them from happening.
Buffoon. Jasmine, she is a buffoon. District no longer exists. Out of the Congress real soon. I'll be glad when she's gone from D.C. No Jasmine, it will be pure bliss. I know that this may not sound PC. That mouth on her I will not miss. Buffoon. Jasmine is a total fake. Her ghetto accent's not real. How much more can we take? Buffoon. She was drawn out of her seat. Will be in Congress no longer. Her leaving will be a treat.
The only thing Santa will be bringing him this Christmas is a sleigh full of idiots like Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris. And, of course, there's Joe Biden, who would lose a cognitive matchup against Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. But there is a serious point here, and Kellyanne was hitting on this. And the Democrats don't have a political bench. What they have are a bunch of political misfits and political baggage. And when you stack up the Democrats to the successes of President Trump, whether that's securing the border or cutting taxes or bringing about world peace, I think Democrats will look small. As we round the corner into 2026, the economy is going to take off like a rocket ship, Q1 and Q2. And every single Republican has to be out there telling the story about how the economy is doing great, how President Trump is the one who got it done, and how we can win, and we're best prepared to lead this country, not Democrats.
Yeah, and just being contrarian to everything that Donald Trump does, including having love affairs with narco terrorists, isn't going to work. It's not going to work. And I've been saying this. If you think that the Democrat Party is going to win the midterms just because it's the midterms, you're high. Because when this economy takes off, they won't be able to lie big enough to cover all of the successes. Sarah Bedford is an investigative editor of the Washington Examiner, one of my favorite papers of record, and she's on the Newsmax hotline. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. I saw the headline. I thought this was pretty entertaining and true. Why Democrats may be structurally screwed. Now, you're leaning into the demography of the country, et cetera. Explain the premise of your article.
Well, there's all this talk of redistricting going around, and it's sort of drawn attention to the fact that Democrats have already sort of maximized their advantage in their most populous states, like Illinois and in New York. They've already gerrymandered quite aggressively, where Republicans have not taken chances to do that. And so if we do have a lot of mid-decade redistricting across states, there's more juice in the lemon, as J.D. Vance put it, for Republicans to squeeze than Democrats. But beyond that, there's a few things coming down the pipeline over the next few years that ought to really scare Democrats. And one of them is the fact that the Supreme Court is considering whether to end the racial requirements of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And that would let states draw maps without regard to where minority communities are located. The Voting Rights Act currently forces them to do that. We're talking about a significant number of states, potentially as many as 19, but likely a dozen states that could... districts that could be redrawn to have a GOP advantage if the Supreme Court makes that decision next year.
Yeah, and the Democrat Party has done a good deal to socially engineer, particularly the inner city black community, to make them impoverished, uneducated because of poor schools, and dependent. And that is it has done very well for them over the years when you redraw districts according to race.
And during oral arguments in October, it was Justice Clarence Thomas, I believe, who sort of asked the question skeptically, like, are Democratic groups who rely exclusively on suing states over Voting Rights Act violations, are they really concerned about any racial discrimination that's going on because in the context of voting that doesn't really exist anymore? Or are they just using this law improperly as a partisan weapon? And so those are the types of things that the justices are considering. And then the third thing that Democrats have likely working against them, it seems like a long way off now, but it's really not, is the 2030 census is going to redistribute House seats and Electoral College votes to red states. And when you add up all of those things, mid-decade redistricting, this likely Supreme Court ruling, and the 2030 census, Democrats are looking at losing their advantage in dozens and dozens of House seats in just the next 5 years.
Well, also, if you factor in the possibility of not including illegals in the census and the massive outpouring of people from Democrat-run states like California, like Maryland, like New Jersey, like New York, for God's sake, it is extraordinary, and they're taking trillions of dollars with them.
Yeah, you're right about the problem of counting illegal immigrants in the census. And, there's a push on Capitol Hill. You have some Republicans in the House and Senate who have introduced legislation to exclude illegal immigrants from the census count for the purposes of apportionment. and J.D. Vance has talked about it. But I think if that fight ever got really serious and Republicans did a real college try to make that policy a reality before Donald Trump leaves office, you would see an absolute knockdown, drag-out fight. There would be such a fierce opposition from Democrats because that could lock them out of power.
Of course.
Like forever.
Of course. And it's obvious why they want the illegals counted. They are luring illegal aliens into their states like California. Gavin Newsom finally admitted, free government health care for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're legal or not. And we have seen government largesse lure people in from around the world. And that's the only thing that keeps impoverished people from out of our country in those states is the rich welfare benefits, which are rich compared to the living standards they experience from their country of origin.
And to be clear, the effect of not including illegal immigrants wouldn't be entirely beneficial to Republicans and negative for Democrats. I mean, Texas would take a substantial hit to the number of people they get to send to Congress, right? So there's a little bit of a but the net effect would certainly be beneficial to Republicans. And the argument that you always hear from Democrats about why, in the context of voting, illegal immigration doesn't matter. They say, illegal immigrants never vote, which that's a whole separate conversation. But what they are doing is distorting congressional representation in this country because congressional seats are being taken away from states that have higher shares of voting American citizens and being given to states that have fewer of them because the presence of illegal aliens is distorting the apportionment process. So it's actually really important for democracy to have these conversations, even though those illegal immigrants don't vote, they're still skewing the process.
Of course. Then you look at what Harmeet Dillon is doing. You look at what Tulsi Gabbard is doing with regard to clearing up the voter rolls. The Democrat Party reticent to share the people who are enrolled to vote. You look at Tom Fitton uncovered 100,000 illegals registered to vote in the state of Pennsylvania. And then, of course, the possibility of limiting or eliminating mail-in voting and late voting. That's really going to screw the Democrats.
Right. I mean, it's kind of remarkable to see how hard some of these Democratic states are fighting not to expose any of their voter registration data. In Michigan, you have a big fight over that. And it's actually illegal for states not to maintain clean voter rolls. But for so long, they've gotten away with not having to clean them up because, for Democrats, I mean, they make an argument that you could accidentally disenfranchise someone by removing them from the list.
Yeah, and requiring an ID is racist.
Right. I mean, and studies show that actually doesn't reduce participation in elections at all.
Well, they showed that in Georgia. When they were Jim Crow 2.0, and it turned out more people showed up for the ballot. And then, in California, they say no illegals are voting, but there is no investigation at all of voter fraud whatsoever in California. There is not. So you could vote as much as you want. You could be dead. It's not pursued. It is verboten to even pursue in the state of California.
It's remarkable the level of disinterest that Democrats have in actually ensuring that elections are, not only definitely trustworthy, but perceived to be trustworthy.
And there's no voter fraud. Come on, you know that, Sarah.
Well, regardless of whether there is and there isn't, there is a real crisis of trust in the process.
Yes.
And, for Democrats have been complaining about threats to democracy all this time. Public perception is like one of the most important elements of democracy, and you would think that they would want to fix that.
Can you hold on through the break? I'd like to continue the conversation. Also, you got another piece. What protests in the street have in common with deep-pocketed radical movements? Would you mind holding through the break?
Sure, thank you.
Sarah Bedford, Washington Examiner. More with her on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time, and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
I think what we ought to do is just give people a little basket of rocks, and then you go in and you got big baskets of rocks, and you just put your rock in each one. What the hell? I mean, why even make it even more analog than paper? Because honestly, believe it or not, electronic things get hacked. I know it's kind of strange when you sit there and look at your phone and your computer that occasionally get hacked. Hard to believe. Sarah Bedford is with the Washington Examiner. She joins us on the Newsmax hotline. Donald Trump has said in the last couple of days that a mountain of evidence is going to happen with regard to the 2020 election. I absolutely 100%, because it's not called disinformation anymore, believe it was a fraudulent election, because I'm not stupid. That's the number one reason. What are your thoughts on what Tulsi's doing, what Donald Trump said about the 2020 election?
Well, there's so many things that he has promised to shed some transparency on, and I'm personally most interested in some of these prosecutions of Donald Trump. We learned just today that the FBI never believed that there was probable cause to conduct the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
Senior DOJ leaders insisted on it. That is the sort of thing that he has a really limited runway to fix, right? Politicization at the DOJ. He's got 3 more years to fix that. And so that's, I think, one of his more important missions.
Yeah, well, I'm still kind of pissed about 2020, so sorry, I just kind of am. Usually, you don't see the vote counting stop in the battleground states the night of the election and then start recounting the next day. And of course, a supposed sewer break or a water main break at the convention center in Atlanta, that never happened. So I'm still kind of ticked about that and wondering why so many lost their journalistic curiosity with regard to that election, because there certainly were a lot of questions to ask. Let's move on to another piece you wrote, and clearly the No Kings. What happened to No Kings, by the way, Sarah? It was the biggest thing in the world until about a month and a half ago. What the hell happened to it?
Oh, now it's morphed into a bunch of other things. I think it's the We Ain't Buying It boycott.
Yes.
It's the Tesla takedown.
It is. I forgot about the We Ain't Buying It and the Black Friday, and that didn't do so well, did it?
Not at all. I believe it was record-breaking sales, in fact.
Oh, I'm sorry. We thought you meant buy more. Oh man, that must have been what happened. But clearly we were in a different situation when Ronald Reagan took office. He was the first person I voted for, and the country could get behind his policies and whatnot. You have a Democrat Party that has been anti-Trump for a decade. It was so bad. I remember in 2015 when Donald Trump was running, people were showing up. Antifa was putting people in lines at Trump rallies to start fights. So they clearly had targeted him since the day he came down the escalator. Since he took office, it has been one temper tantrum after another. It was Epstein a couple weeks ago. Then Epstein came back with some doctored photos, and then it became Pete Hegseth as a war criminal. And then of course all of these protests, which are clearly bought and paid for.
That's right. And in the piece, I sort of walk through how George Soros, probably not surprised to hear his name in that conversation, gave some of the sort of startup money to the group that organizes the No Kings protests, Indivisible. But that what this movement does in a lot of ways, even though it's a nominally nonviolent movement, it encourages peaceful protests.
Sure.
It sort of creates a permission structure for the more violent elements of the left-wing faction, because it engages in this rhetoric about stopping Donald Trump at any cost, that there's no divide on the left that is worth litigating because opposition to Donald Trump is the highest calling a leftist can have.
And they never put down the violence. They never say that's wrong. We can't do that.
Exactly.
Oh, it's absolute crap. Everything they say is a lie. Listen, we got to run this piece. What protests in the street have in common with deep. This is a deep dive. It's a great read. And then all your work is great, Sarah. Where can people find all of your glorious work?
Oh, thanks so much. You can find it all at WashingtonExaminer.com.
It is just really nice to see journalism back, and you are one of the people who are doing it. I know a lot of journalists, Matt Taibbi, Matthew Schellenberger, John Solomon. You guys are just doing great jobs, and I love great writing, and you're doing a great job. So thanks for joining me. Hope to have you on again soon.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. All righty, hold on. I got to get something up here. Oh, yeah. I know what I'm going to do next. Here we go. So, what do we got here on the line? Everybody talking over here. Let's see. I'm watching. I'm just looking at your comments here and trying to digest them. I've been a little distracted. I apologize, but it's good to see Mickey Hastings and Duck Mann and David Lynch talking. You guys got your own little community there. Also the Rumbly Roo, all you guys. BFO5, what up? Glad to see you joining me. Oh, yeah, Pat Carr talks about the raid of Mar-a-Lago, FBI bringing in documents for the purpose of photographing them like they were found there. Yeah, 100% it was sick. I got to find that story. I haven't had a chance to cover that this morning. Thanks for reminding me. FBI, no basis for Mar-a-Lago raid. There's so many balls in the air here, guys. So many.
This is a blockbuster. You're telling me there actually exists.
We'll cover that next. We will cover that. Not a big surprise. I've got a lot of other things to get to before then. But thanks for the reminder. You guys are my producers now. Holy hell. Valentina, news scum is the lunatic. No, he's a piece of crap is what he is. He's a sociopathic. He's like Ted Bundy. He's a lot like Ted Bundy. Really good, and very convincing and conniving and sociopathic. Here we go.
Got about 3.5 here.
Former President Joe Biden is falling far short of the money needed to build his presidential library. The New York Times finding through public filings that Biden received no new donations for that library in 2024.
Well, wait, hold on. I thought he was going to be on Mount Rushmore as the greatest president ever. Why would somebody who got 81 million votes not be raising a damn dime for his presidential library? Oh, yeah, maybe because he's pudding for brains. Yeah, I think that's what it was. It's a failure.
All the way, we got to win the Super Bowl again. 60 today, we got to get him back moving, man. Yeah, sure.
He has a marshmallow brain, that's Joe Biden, with a head empty as it can be.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
At the Eagles game, didn't know his name. Joe senile, it is clear to see.
I made a poopy.
He's a dummy Joe, he has lost it. Keeping him president was insane. His voice is weak, help he ought to seek. Joe Biden has a marshmallow brain.
Yeah, they thought he could be the president 4 more years.
The folks at the White House protected Joe.
Yeah.
They had to know a long time ago.
What a joke.
That Joe Biden wasn't all there. They were fully aware.
Yeah, they were.
Can't believe he still shows up in public. He is someone they need to restrain. He might slip and fall, gets lost at the mall. Joe Biden has a marshmallow brain.
Yeah. If you want to help out Jim Gossett, go to patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. U.S. gold futures rose to $4,374 an ounce last week. Strong demand from investors, 3 months of solid central bank demand have caused gold to go through the ceiling. Silver, too. $63.73 per ounce. Hit a high of $64.65 last Friday. It's up 120%. Why not have gold and silver in your portfolio? How about that? How about you go with Birch Gold? You get both. You invest $5,000 in Birch Gold. They're going to throw in a free ounce of silver, okay? That's gone up 120% this year. Oh, my gosh. So what you got to do is just text my name, Rob, to 989898. Gold and silver are going through the ceiling. If you saw that gold future number and you saw the numbers on silver, why haven't you done this? Don't wait until it's too expensive. Don't wait until your money is not worth as much when you're buying gold and silver. Text my name, Rob, to 989898. $5,000 invested in gold. Get your free silver, but you got to get on it because it's going to be done by the 22nd, which just happens to be 6 days away. Text Rob to 989898 for Birch Gold. It's the company that I rely on because, listen, I wouldn't give my money to somebody I don't trust. I mean, I was married to a person like that for a while. I trusted her. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. 989898 for Birch Gold. We got another hour of the show. The FBI knew they didn't have probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. Told you. It's coming up. Don't go anywhere.
and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show, hour number 3 of the radio program. If you want to hear the podcast of the show, I don't say this enough. Every day after the show, we take all 3 hours of the radio program, edit all the commercials out and whatnot, and then post each individual hour online on all the social media platforms, all of the podcast platforms. Ken, my producer, Redneck MacGyver, he does that, and so it's a little bite-sized samples of the show. You can hear the interviews and all of that stuff, and go to Spotify, and there's a little bell you can click on and subscribe and all that. I'd appreciate it if you'd do that, and you could share it with other people, because the show is growing, and we're gonna be doing some stuff in the new year. I moved here of my own volition to Washington, D.C. for a number of reasons. I wanted to be a part of history here. And I knew that amazing things were going to happen. And I felt like you and I had been through hell in supporting Donald Trump while he was going through hell. And I wanted you to witness this with me. And I also thought if I stay in Kansas and just work in a home office and go to the gym and the grocery store, that's no life. So I moved out here. It was the biggest gamble I've ever made, in my life, and it has been a mother bleeper of a year, I'll tell you. I mean, there have been some ups and downs, and sideways and backwards, and bent over, and it's been the craziest year. But I will tell you, the last decade, whew. You ever get to the point where you're like, you look at the hardship you've been through in your life, and you go, I'm glad I went through it, but I wouldn't want to do it again. The last decade, I wouldn't want to go through it again, and I wouldn't survive it because it was brutal. That said, this is one of the reasons why I'm a joyous person. This is one of the reasons why I am blessed to be here, and this is why every day I come in here with a passion to entertain you, inform you. I know you're a well-informed audience. Don't get me wrong. But I do my level best to inform you as much as I can. And we are going to be doing some stuff in the coming year with long-form video podcasting, getting guests on screen with me, a lot of these things. All of what we're seeing right here, I had to do myself. I moved everything here. I put it in a U-Haul trailer, and I moved out here. And some amazing things are going to happen. Newsmax has been such a blessing, and Chris Ruddy. I owe everything to Chris Ruddy of Newsmax because I would be dead. If I were still selling cars, I would have already drunk myself to death. My life would be over. So he saved my life, and I owe him for that. And you can blame him for this. So, John Solomon, here's the big news, and not a big surprise. The DOJ was weaponized against Donald Trump. I want some people to go to jail. The FBI agents knew there was no reason to raid Mar-a-Lago.
Here's the real question. We're going to have to find out what they represented to the judge to get that search warrant signed, because the FBI, the Washington field office of the FBI, which, by the way, was no fan of Donald Trump's. They were behind January 6th. They were behind Russia collusion. They were telling the Biden Justice Department there was not a probable cause to raid Mar-a-Lago. That is a significant. These are emails and memos from inside the Washington field office of the FBI, an anti-Trump field office. That is a really significant memo. We haven't seen the documents yet. We know what they generally say, but we're going to see. They're going to get turned over to Grassley in Jordan today, and then Jack Smith's on the Hill tomorrow for a deposition. If he shows up, I'm sure he's going to be confronted by these documents.
I hope they give him a rectal exam.
Are you implying that Merrick Garland then made the decision against facts that they didn't have probable cause? This all the way up to Merrick Garland, sir?
Oh, dear God, of course.
Well, we don't know who approved the search warrant request, so those are important things. We got to get those documents unmasked.
I remember when they raided Mar-a-Lago, and my response was, I couldn't believe the FBI that you and I grew up thinking was without reproach, right? Didn't you feel that way about the FBI? You know? The FBI, a Quinn Martin production. That's a little shout out to the boomers and the Xers and the audience. But we really thought they were the good guys. They were the guys with the white hat. Turns out not so much. Corrupt as hell. Really super duper, incredibly corrupt. Yesterday, I want to mention this. No, actually I don't. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about some good news. How about some good news this break? Would you guys like a little bit of good news? We're going to do some good news. I got some other stuff I want to cover. Let's do this.
We love to win. Winning, so much winning. It's lots of winning, 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 lots of winning. It's oh so good.
Yeah, the November-October jobs report is out. It's good.
Yes, October and November for the big jobs report. The only thing is it's not Friday. Here we go. November's number comes in at 64,000. 64,000 on non-farm. And if we look at average hourly earnings, they are up 0.1% year over year, up 3.5.
That ain't bad. Considering the hole that Joe Biden dug for the economy. And it was terrible, and don't try to lie your way out of it. It was terrible. More than 1/3 of Americans plan to spend at least $1,000 on holiday shopping this year. Christmas shopping. I'll just call it Christmas shopping because that's really, here's the deal. Retail has to have happy little Christians going out and buying Christmas presents. Otherwise, they fail. So say freaking Christmas, okay? There you go. It's a Christmas tree, all right? Say Merry Christmas. Do not just say Happy Holidays. No. And guess what? If you have a Jewish brother or sister, you just say, hey, Happy Hanukkah. And nobody's going to get offended. Oh, my God in heaven. How crazy is that? 36% of respondents plan to spend $1,000 or more on holiday gifts, up from 29% last year, 32% for 2022. Overall, Americans plan to spend an average of $1,016 on holiday shopping, essentially flat with last year's $1,014. Among those planning to spend at least something on gifts, that means a rise of $1,100 to $1,199. Okay, so whatever, yeah. Share of Americans' capacity and willingness to spend significantly on holidays has grown meaningfully this year. We saw it with Black Friday. We saw it with Cyber Monday. People are feeling more confident. New Trump tariffs could hit and did hit $200 billion. Oh, tariffs don't work. I'm going to go take my Wall Street Journal and jump off a cliff. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. No, you were wrong. He imposed the tariffs on Canada and China and Mexico and all of that. And thus far, it looks like about $200 billion. You've given some of that to farmers to help them out because they've been kind of screwed for decades. They have been completely hosed. Remember what I told you about EVs being for posers? Well, I was right, 100%. Remember what I told you about the F-150 Lightning being an absolute piece of crap? That is the electric pickup truck from Ford. I talked to a guy the other day here in Washington, D.C., probably a liberal, and he said he had an F-150 Lightning. I said, how do you like that? He goes, oh, man, I love it. I love it. I said, really? Tell me this. If you put any sort of load on that thing, what happens to your range? And he goes, oh, man, it goes to crap. It goes way down to crap. I said, like what? What are you talking about? About 125 miles. I said, well, what about when it gets cold? Oh, yeah, it goes even further. I said, why the hell do you like it? Because you live in the city, you drive to Whole Foods in your pickup. You need a pickup like you need a hole in the head. Those are the only people who own F-150 Lightnings. People who work for a living, people who haul drywall and have those racks in the back for plates of glass and whatnot. Those who have lowboys behind them or whatever. You don't buy a Ford F-150 Lightning because they're for posers. Ford on Monday announced it took a massive $19.5 billion hit tied to its EV production, said it will scrap the F-150 Lightning. So I hate to tell you this, scrap is the word for your F-150 Lightning. I'm sorry, you got suckered into it. You got suckered into it. They were talking about, oh, my God, it's so glorious and wonderful. I remember when they went to the Ford dealership where I bought Buck my Bronco. They were like, oh, yeah, the F-150 Lightning is running. And then towards the last couple of months that I lived in Kansas City, they were like, we can't get rid of these pieces of crap. They had them in the front row with those stupid Mustangs. They called the Mustang the EV Mustang. What a piece of crap is that. I mean, wow, what a piece of crap. What an insult to the Mustang legacy. Honestly, wow. Wow, you're going to drive your Mustang to TJ Maxx? Is that what you're going to do? Drive your Mustang? Is that? Oh my God! Wow. So anyway, the Dearborn, Michigan-based automaker is going to make a series of changes to its line of vehicles. Production facilities focus on affordable vehicles that don't suck. The company will also scrap production of certain larger EVs, including the F-150 Lightning, which it will retool, are you ready for this, as an electric vehicle with a gas-powered generator. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. How about a gas-powered vehicle with an electric generator? You idiots! This is what they're going to do. It'll be an electric vehicle with a gas-powered generator, so you can fire up the generator to charge the battery, or you could just make it a gas vehicle. Oh my God! So stupid. And this is all those EV subsidies. I wonder what happened to all those postal vehicles. Joe Biden is going to make all the post office vehicles spend billions of dollars on post office vehicles. As of 6 months ago, about 85 of them had been delivered. Scott Besson with good news on the economy.
So we should think that 2025 was setting the table. 2026 is going to be a bountiful year if the Democrats don't shut down the government, because they were unable to stop President Trump. They tried to. They tried to stop him in the courts. They tried to stop him in the media.
Tried to murder him.
Yeah. Then they went to the extreme. We had the longest government shutdown in history. It was a hit to GDP. Yep. Slowed things down. We're still going to finish the year probably 3.5% GDP growth, which is incredible.
Unbelievable.
With a shrinking budget deficit. So we have very good momentum coming into next year. The economy is broadening out. You could see it. Other sectors of the stock market.
You ain't seen nothing like what's going to happen in 2026. When all of those, the taxes on Social Security and the taxes on tipped income and overtime, and you can write off the interest on your American-made auto loan. Oh my God! When you look at every sort of capital investment you make into your factory, any sort of equipment, you're going to be able to write it off. You ain't seen nothing like it. This is going to make Ronald Reagan's revolution look like farting an F5 hurricane. Don't want to insult Ronald Reagan, but you know what I'm talking about. It's going to be remarkable, and there's nothing the Democrats can do about it, and they can't lie big enough to cover it up. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
I want their names because we have had a tradition of toleration. These people are not tolerating us. So you won't tolerate us, we want you out of this country, right? Because this country is fed up with your, we must be nice to everybody. Well, I'm not particularly nice to people that crossed the border, invaded another country and murdered over 1,200 people. Tick the boxes. Do they have democracy? Do they have rule of law? Do they have Christianity or some similar belief system? Do they have egalitarian traditions? Do they have industrial awards? Now, if they don't tick the boxes, they don't come here. If you have anti-Australian sentiments, then get the hell out of my country.
I got to tell you, I haven't heard that from an Aussie in a while. That is our Aussie Parliament member, Bob Catter. I didn't know who this guy was. He has a cowboy hat in, and he came in and gave radical Islam and the woke nonsense purveyors in Australia a little what for after the Bondi Beach massacre of Jews during Hanukkah. Joining us, our good friend Shane from Down Under. Shane, how you doing, my brother?
Yeah, g'day, Rob, and it's always a pleasure, mate, and I want to thank Newsmax and send season's greetings to all the Americans out there, the real ones who fought in the wars and fought next to us and died to us.
Let me ask you this, Shane, let me ask you this, because we've been talking, you've been calling my show for a number of years now, and I have watched these wussified meows who have taken over your country, taken away the guns, run roughshod, emasculated a country that I had always considered an equal as far as rugged individualism with America. Do you suppose that this has crossed the line and people are sick and damn tired of it like they are here in America and in Great Britain and other countries around the world?
Well, as you know, Rob, my field is behavioural science, working for the Australian people, and we clocked up 28 years about 4 days ago, just working for better care for future generations. My field's generational behavioural sciences. And we've talked before, Rob, and I told you this ages ago. We've got a major problem with the forces that be and the ones that are controlling this country. Just in the last couple of years, Rob, like your country, they've landed 2 million people in just 2 to 3 years. We've got over 1 million people who are coming in this country who have stayed here, and they're basically foreign aliens. And I told you this, that how many of those are foreign agents and sleeper agents ready to go off? So what we've seen in Bondi is only the tip of the iceberg, and I hate to say that, but, you know, I saw this a long time ago, mate, because we need better vetting processes, but the problem is the forces that be just wanting bums on seats in profiteering off the
it's the same way here, brother. It's what happened with 20 million people coming across our southern borders. The same thing can happen in Great Britain. And now we've got a massive influx of Islamists, as many 20,000 minimum known terrorists in our country, for God's sake. And we've not only got to just worry about vetting, but getting these people the hell out of the country. They have taken advantage of our benevolence and our generosity and our tolerance. And they have done exactly what they wanted to do, which was to spread this caliphate. How have people reacted in Australia to this massacre on the beach?
Well, I do work in the field, Rob, so I do talk from the new Australians, the ones who've come in legally, and the older ones, and I talk to a lot of the different families and that out there. And generally, as you know, Rob, the vast majority of people just wanting to have a good place ecologically and socially. That's not happening.
I know.
We haven't got the capacity for it now. We already had serious problems. But the general population, I believe, can see that we've got big problems in this country to address. And I'm not saying nothing at all, and I feel so sorry for the poor people who had that horrible thing happen to them just before Christmas, Rob.
I know.
And I always find that's fascinating how they do these things just before we're celebrating. Really not a fat Father Christmas guy in consumerism, but it was about a guy who gave us a message 2,000 years ago. Isn't it funny, Rob? Isn't it funny that we still celebrate really a man who just taught us about peace, love, and forgiveness? And, you know, in this world now, Rob, it's more needed than ever, isn't it?
I know, brother. I know that, and listen, the good people of the world have to come together to defeat this. You know, I like to say, homeboys, hillbillies, and Hebrews. We got to come together, and we got to defeat this. And I know we can. I know it's there, but it's just a matter of the line that's been crossed. And I think the line has been crossed. I think the world is waking up to this nonsense, to be quite honest. And your prime minister is a complete wuss. And he blamed it, like everybody does here, blamed it on right-wing extremists, and then which is a lie. And then also, of course, say they want to control guns some more, like it can't be controlled anymore in Australia.
Yeah, well, as you'd know, Rob, if you studied the Australian history, we were fundamental in changing World War I and World War II, and I'm not saying the other allies weren't, but we were very important in that, and we knew how to use our guns, and after the war, everybody, used to have a gun, they used to walk, it was just, a fantastic place to have guns, because we had responsible families, good governance in regards to that. After 12 o'clock, only up until the late 60s, Rob, on a Saturday afternoon, it was a federal law in this country that everybody had to drop their tools except emergency services, and on a Sunday too. It was a federal law that no one worked, because that was a time for family, community, and looking after your culture and your environment. And then, the powers that be made it more consumerism and cannibalism, I call it.
Yep.
But generally, I find that, there's a breaking point with any social system, and I just, I'm a great believer in God like you, and I think Jesus Christ is a good way to look at things these days, because faith is everything when we're lost and we've got deaths and we've got horrible things happening to us.
Listen, I've got to run, Shane. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate you and knowing you as a friend for years on the show, and I feel terribly for the good people of Australia who have balls, unlike your Prime Minister and many in your legislature. And I do believe we've hit a breaking point, and it's time to fight back. God bless you, my friend. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
All my love to you too and your team, mate. You've done a great job, and have a great Christmas, mate.
All right, buddy.
Remember,
We'll talk.
It's not about it's.
We'll meet someday. I'll come down to Australia and we'll go out and you can have a pint and I'll be your designated driver. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. My nightly ritual now is a little ice, a little vanilla yogurt, banana, a little milk, and a scoop of chocolate brownie Beams Dream Powder in the blender. A little while later, I hit the sack and I sleep until sunrise. It's amazing. These days, everything moves so fast, and it certainly can mess with your sleep schedule. That's why I'm here to tell you about Beams Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. I've been using Beams Dream Powder for a year now, and I can honestly say I feel sharper, calmer, and more focused, and I'm not alone. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax. Use code Newsmax and take advantage of my exclusive offer for 40% off. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, think about it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax today.
Mom Donnie, a socialist. Mom Donnie, a communist. He's a fan of the muss. His win will be New York's loss. He's an extremist, you bet, as New York's gonna get taxed like never before. When Mom Donnie is done, the city will run every grocery store. He'll defund the police and crime will increase as the murder rate begins to soar. Mom Donnie, anti-Jew, he despises Netanyahu. It is really a sin. New Yorkers voted him in. They'll regret that they helped him win.
they're mostly Democrats like V.P. Harris. They cry when they lose from their left-wing views. I wish they'd spare us. They're cat ladies. Whoa, 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 they're cat ladies. Talking about some miserable ladies who have clearly lost their minds.
People that are pro-life, I hate you.
Got called out by J.D. Vance. When he had the chance, he really nailed them. They're too dumb to know. Kamala and Joe have really failed them. They're cat ladies. Don't have a child, they're cat ladies. Talking about some miserable ladies who are out of their minds.
From your app store.
Democrats invite terrorists from all over the world into this country. They let them steal our benefits, enjoy our schools, overrun our hospitals, vote in our elections, and then steal our tax dollar to send back to their home countries to fund terrorism. By the way, I've seen all of these woke Democrats like Omar calling Somalia a wonderful place. If it's such a wonderful place, why doesn't she move back?
That is xenophobic.
If Somalia is all that, why is the terrorist group Al-Shabaab murdering Somalian civilians by the masses? And why is the capital of Somalia considered to be one of the most dangerous capitals in the world?
Because Somalia is a crap hole. That's why. And unfortunately, when you come from a crap hole, sometimes you're crap. And that's kind of what's happened. We've allowed people to come in from countries that have been failing throughout history. We got our act together, and we were created 250 years ago, and we became the most amazing miracle of individual and economic opportunity in the history of the world. And Somalia is partying like it's $7.99. That's just the way it is. This is David Marcus. I love me some David Marcus, talking about how all of this nonsense happened in Minneapolis, how all of the fraud to the tune of maybe even $8 billion by largely Somalians, because Somalia is a crap hole. And a lot of Somalians were involved in this fraud, and a lot of them were recipients of the fraud. Same goes in the state of Ohio. Same goes in the state of Maine, among other places. It is a tangled web, and it is very large.
They've uncovered so much corruption, and much of what they found was that the reason this was able to go on so long was literally that the Democrats in charge, very white, very liberal, all kind of decided.
Wasn't it Malcolm X who said, "Fear the white liberal"?
We're not going to look at the Somali community. They're doing their own thing. And unfortunately, that was the attitude that I found on the ground. When I tried to talk to people about this, they didn't want to hear about it.
They're brainwashed Minnesota liberals. I lived there. They are a ridiculous lot.
They were upset about ICE disappearing people on the street. And
yeah, disappearing them the hell out of the country.
It really was. It was a mixture of white guilt, political patronage.
Totally.
The situation is a mess. And we really have to look at this question of refugee communities. Immigrants and refugees are different.
Yes.
Immigrants want to be Americans. They want to soak it in. They want their kids to be Americans.
Yeah.
Refugees are told, hey, your homeland's not safe right now. Come over here for a little while. Live by your own practices and standards. That's not sustainable in the long term because these people aren't assimilating. I saw it in Springfield, Ohio, and I saw it in Minneapolis. It's not a good situation.
No, it's terrible, and the rest of us become victims in the meantime, supporting them as 85% of them are on welfare in Minnesota. You're being taken for a ride, man. Being taken for a ride. Here is Chad Wolf talking about who we need in the country.
I would agree with you. I think the American people say, look, if you want to come to the country and you want to come legally, then you need to make sure that you're not going to be a drain on the American people and take resources and welfare and whatever it might be. And in the first Trump administration...
Would you expect to do that if you went to another country? You went to France? Would you just move into France? And say, I'm not going to learn to speak the language. I don't give a crap about your Constitution or whatever. You wouldn't do that. You would not. If you wanted to and commit yourself to that country, you would become a part of that country. You're not the kind of person to move in and leech. That's what's happened in our country with people who come from hellhole countries that haven't been able to get their crap together. Those who are here illegally and those who have committed fraud need to be exported to their home countries, and they should take a copy of the Constitution. Oh, it's right there. The instructions are right there. They're a little more complicated than IKEA instructions, but the instructions are right there, so you don't have to live in a crap hole anymore. All you got to do is, you see the shining city on a hill right there? Why are you bleeding your most valuable resource, your people, to the United States of America? How about Mexico? You become more like America instead of being a third world hellhole run by drug cartels. How about that? You've got it within you, for God's sake. People come across the southern border all the time, want to work their asses off in America. And they do. Remarkable.
We actually put a public charge rulemaking out there that would do just this. It would deny people the ability to come in if they could not be supported. The Biden administration withdrew that. No surprise there. And I think the Trump team is in the process of actually removing what Biden did and going back to the original intent of the law. So I know President Trump, his immigration team are focused on this. It's really, really important because these benefits are an incentive factor for folks to come here and to stay, right? If they know they're going to be able to live off the public dole and get these benefits from the American people, more and more people will come for that.
Yeah, and old Stephen Miller, who is honestly, a gift. He is just a spectacular genius. He says this is the Democrats have this thing. It's called the refugee industrial complex. And what does it mean? It means votes.
You're right. President Trump has blown the lid off of the refugee industrial complex. And the way this works is exactly the way that you said. The U.S. government historically, and this of course got taken to the highest degree ever under Biden, hands out billions, with a B, billions of dollars in grants to these third-party groups, non-governmental organizations. To
Catholic Charities, anybody. I had no idea they were so corrupt.
Work with the Department of State to find the poorest populations from the most dysfunctional places in the world and then bring them into small-town America. They typically look for areas in rural communities, rural places.
Destroy those communities, destroy the people who live there.
Or more traditional Midwestern towns that they can completely transform. So they send them to small towns in Ohio, to small towns in Maine, and of course we've seen their central project has been in Minneapolis and St. Paul in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And so these nonprofits get massively rich. They rake in a fortune. They become some of the wealthiest nonprofits the world has ever seen. And their job is to fly the refugees here, to help them become citizens, and to ensure that they are enrolled in every welfare benefit program imaginable.
It's really sickening. I mean, it's thoroughly sickening. It's treasonous is what it is. And we are paying for it. You and I who bust our butts, and some of you working 2 or 3 jobs. And, you know, if you're lucky, by the time you're 65, 70 years old, you'll get a pittance from the government. And maybe, if you're really lucky, you'll have a pension, but most of you won't. Government workers get it. Most of us don't. And what's this all about? Well, let's talk to a genius who they call the Nazi Elon Musk.
They were also giving out like debit cards with $10,000. So it's not just about medical care.
Yeah.
The Democrats mention the medical care because they're trying to prey on people's empathy as much as possible, and then they imagine, oh wow, somebody has a desperately needed medical procedure, and shouldn't we maybe take care of them in that regard? But what they do is they divert the Medicaid funds and turn it into a slush fund for the states that goes well beyond emergency medical care.
Wow.
And New York and California would be bankrupt without the massive fraudulent federal payments that go to those states to pay for illegals, to create a massive financial incentive for illegals.
Yeah, it's interesting. Gavin Newsom said, and the media said that there is no medical care going to illegals.
Can go to undocumented immigrants through Medicare, through Medicaid, through ACA.
Is it true that you want to restore American taxpayer benefits to illegal immigrants?
Of course not. And thank you for asking that question, because this is also an outright lie.
If you are undocumented in our country, you cannot get health care from the Affordable Care Act exchange. You are not eligible for Medicare. You are not eligible for Medicaid for undocumented people. So they're just making that up.
Start with this. Undocumented immigrants who come across the border, who've been flagged for deportation, they cannot get Medicaid. They cannot get Obamacare. They can't get on the Affordable Care Act. That is not legal. Democrats are not trying to change that.
Really? That's not what Gavin Newsom says. He just said it the other day proudly.
As it relates to undoc healthcare, yeah, I'm proud of that because I believe in universal healthcare. Others may say it. I get it. First state in the country, regardless of pre-existing conditions, ability to pay, and regardless of...
Yeah, I think we're done. Let's take a break and come back. This is The Rob Carson Show.
If Ernest Hemingway...
Trump, he's going to sue the BBC.
In a little while, you'll be seeing I'm suing the BBC for putting words in my mouth, literally. They put words in my mouth. They had me saying things that I never said coming out. I guess they used AI or something. So we'll be bringing that lawsuit. A lot of people are asking, when are you bringing that lawsuit? Even the media can't believe that one. They actually put terrible words in my mouth having to do with January 6th that I didn't say. And the beautiful words that I said.
Yeah. Here is the edit, what the BBC did. These comments were like an hour apart. So they made it look like Donald Trump wanted people to march to the Capitol and fight.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. Yeah. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Yeah, and this was part of a massive plot by the media and government working in concert. January the 6th, I said on January the 7th was a Reichstag moment. It's very obvious. Do you know why? Because I'm not stupid. I remember days after they said, oh, there's $100 million worth of damage to the inside of the Capitol. None of that happened. No police officers died that day. 2 Trump supporters died. One was shot. The other one was beaten to death. Then the one who was beaten to death, they blamed on a drug overdose, even though she'd been clean for 10 years. And then they cremated her body before they could do the autopsy and all of that. Honestly, ridiculous, evil, really evil. And then hundreds of people went to jail, some for 4 years without a trial. Oh, my God in heaven. You evil people. And here is the video that Donald Trump made the day, October the 7th, or not October the 7th, January the 6th. January the 6th. This is the video that he made. Because he was taken off of all social media. He was taken off of YouTube. He's taken off of Twitter. He was taken off of Facebook. All of that. And then the broadcast networks and YouTube would not put this video up while he's saying, go home peacefully.
I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election.
It was.
And everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great...
Doesn't sound like he wants people to go to the Capitol and fight.
People in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time.
Yeah.
There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us.
And we have had to, as Trump supporters and as conservative, eat this frickin' bullcrap. For years, we've had to sit there and endure the nonsense and people saying to us that the truth was disinformation and misinformation and laughing about an election, saying there was no election fraud and you're a conspiracy theorist and you are big in numbers and you had control of the media and you could do that. Imagine how hard that is. You can't imagine that on the left because you have media dominance and you've been able to get away with this crap. But look at what you're sowing now. You are what you've reaped now. You are reaping what you sow. This is an example of reaping what you sow. I have a studio in Washington, D.C. I built myself. I reach millions of people every week. John Solomon has a gigantic media following. Steve Bannon, he reaches 60 million people a week. You did this. You destroyed yourself. You did this. And we are not going anywhere. We are not letting Donald Trump's criticism of Rob Reiner, who savaged him every day for a decade, we are not going to let that come between us and this president who's doing everything we asked him to do. It's not going to happen. And I hope that he gets a big settlement from the BBC. And I'm glad that he keeps suing the pants off of these organizations. And he's won. You know why? Because he was telling the truth, and they bastardized what they do. CBS bastardized what they do by editing an interview with Kamala Harris to make her look not like an idiot. CNN covered for Joe Biden's obvious mental decline until it became so obvious that it couldn't be denied anymore with the debate, and that precipitated the removal of him from the candidacy and the injection of the dumbest woman to ever run for office, other than AOC and Jasmine Crockett, to become the candidate without a single vote. If I were a Democrat, I'd be mad too. But you see, you can't be mad because you've been able to stand on top of us regardless of the truth and say, ha ha, you're a conspiracy theorist. Ha ha, what you believe is disinformation. Ha ha. And we knew the truth. You have no idea. You have no idea what you've done. And it burns in our hearts, and it burned in our hearts and souls for 4 years after that election. And we came raging back and made that election in November too big to rig. And we ain't done yet. We've only just started. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Alrighty. Here we are. Good. Who's watching on the Rumbly-Roo? Like you talked about this yesterday. They're putting mRNA vaccine in your food. I know. You said that yesterday. Great. We'll do our research. We don't need to be reminded every day. If that's what you believe. Dookie Bear says, I'm going to post the video of my husband and Rob listening to Led Zeppelin in Buck the Bronco. Go right ahead. We jammed, man. Whenever I want to show off the sound system I put in Buck the Bronco, I play Led Zeppelin. Faux show. Because it's fantastic. Whole lot of love, baby. I listened to it when I was 4 years old. Blew my head off, man. It was amazing. Kerry Corley, hello. How you doing? Conservative 1974, what up? You guys are pretty active over on the YouTubeage. Nice to see you there. Blah 13. Sabrina G, what up? Sabrina GP Indano. Hi. I love these names. Adrian John, you're new. Today's hat was brought to you by a Christmas hat. Okay. Good to see you guys. You guys are amazing. I believe Dookie Bear is putting together a fan page, right? Fan page for the Rob Carson Show. And when that's unveiled, love to have you guys on there, and I'll do regular Zoom calls with you guys, and we'll hang out together. I think it'd be kind of cool. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do here? Shoot. Okay.
Mainstream outlets like the New York Times constantly get strong anti-Israel views on those things, and other media as well too. Call it what it is. And now here in my own party, I've been incredibly disappointed, and people are trying to pretend these kinds of words and terms like, from the river to the sea, or to globalize the intifada and all those other things. We all know what this means. Yeah. And I refuse to pander to that. And now for me, it's been a rot, within the American left and within my party.
Yeah. It's amazing. Members of the Democrat Party can embrace anti-Semitism. But Donald Trump, his career is over when he criticizes Rob Reiner for savaging him in the media for a decade. Really remarkable, honestly. You can bed down with anti-Semites, but Donald Trump is the problem. Unreal. $4,308. $4,308. That's gold today. $4,308. If you would have told me this last year when it was $2,500, $2,600, I would have said, really? That would be remarkable. It would be remarkable if gold would be at $4,308, but it is today. It is today. And silver has gone up 120% in the year. Unbelievable. I have mentioned this because Birch Gold has given you silver when you buy gold, which is pretty great, I think, because both of them have been so amazing. Silver, $63.73 an ounce, hit a high of almost $65 last Friday. Silver, guys. Silver is you look at silver, whatever. Silver's great, gold's great, but silver, oh my gosh. You need to have it, guys. You need to have both of them. $5,000 invested in Birch Gold. They'll throw in silver, an ounce of silver, You can have it, hang on to it, watch it go up another 20% or whatever in the next year. Who knows? But it paused for a second. Now we got gold at $4,300 today. Paused at about $4,000. Now it's at $4,300 2 weeks later. Get on the gold train. Text my name, Rob, to 989898. Do it right now. Go ahead. Go down to your text. 9898. Then just go down in the body of the text, Rob, R-O-B. It's easy to remember. You're going to get information, and you're going to be eligible for free silver when you buy gold. But I would do it because gold is already at $4,300 an ounce. My goodness. Who would have ever seen that coming? Birch Gold is a company I trust. Text them today because this deal ends on the 22nd. Rob to 989898. That's going to do it for the show today. Man, I thought today was a hell of a show. They're all good. I'm going to be taking off Friday through... I'm on Friday, but then I'll be on off the next 2 weeks to go home and see the family and do that sort of stuff. So we're just taking off. We're just unleashing Christmas hell on all of you this week, and we're going to get more Christmassy as Friday approaches. Make sure to check out the podcast if you would. Go to all your usual podcast platforms and share with others. Thank you all for streaming. Thank you all for listening on our affiliate stations. I can't tell you what it means. It's amazing. I'm so blessed beyond belief. God bless you, America's founded Donald Trump, as he makes America even greater. Next year's going to be so good. Until tomorrow, which is Wednesday, do not catch the stupid. Love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Woo!
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.